أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين. To continue with our regulations, ahkam, there is two things that go hand in hand, and that is relating to the travel. If someone travels, he breaks the fasting and his prayer also broken in half. For example, Salat al-Dhuhr becomes 2 rak'ah. Salat al-Asr becomes 2 rak'ah. Salat al-Maghrib becomes 1.5 rak'ah. Is that correct? Okay. I just wanted to see who's sleeping, who's not. Okay. Tends to be the majority are sleeping. Okay. Only this pertains to Salat al-Dhuhr, al-Asr, and Isha. Those are the three prayers that we do them in half, meaning that they are broken into half. Now, the traveler also breaks the fasting, but not everyone who travels breaks the fasting. And not every travel also breaks the prayer in half. There are conditions. What are the conditions? Number one, if the traveler leaves his city after noon, meaning once the adhan of Dhuhr starts, he leaves the town, travels. He does not break his fasting. Yet, if he did not do the prayers, Dhuhr and Asr, he can wait once he exits the city, he can do the prayers in half, qasr. But his fasting will stay integrated, it's not broken, if he leaves after Dhuhr, afternoon. So, that's number one. Number two, he has to traverse the specified distance. There is a distance that needs to be passed. This distance, the term for this distance is called Haddut Tarakhus, meaning that the limit of discharge. At what point you leave. We will talk about this in a minute. So, if someone does not intend to leave this distance, he's not considered to be a traveler. He has to travel either more than this or this distance, and kept in his mind that he will travel at that time, he can break his fasting. The third condition, he really means traveling. Not that he's absent-minded, he's driving, thinking that he's in the city, and all of a sudden he finds himself, in the middle of nowhere. No, rather he means that he's traveling. At that time he can break the fasting. Number 4, brothers and sisters, and that is when someone makes an illegal trip. Illegal trip meaning a haram. A trip that God would not want you to do. Like what? For example, someone cannot gamble in the city. He takes a ticket and goes to Vegas to play gambling. His intention is to play gambling. When he does this, his fasting is full. He has to do full fasting and full prayers as well. He cannot break his fasting. We have multiple examples of haram. I will give you one by one. So this is, someone intends to go somewhere else to do some sort of sin. This trip is considered to be haram, therefore he cannot break his fasting. Other examples of haram, and this is based on the fatwa of Ayatollah Sistani. If you are duty bound to do certain work, for example, you are employee of a company or a shop, but since, let's say, the owner of the company, the management do not trace you, do not see you, they're out of the town, you also ditch the work and leave. According to Ayatollah Sistani, this is haram as well. You cannot do this one. If you do, by any chance, you cannot break your fasting. And your prayer is also haram. Or a wife that travels without the consent of her husband, according to many scholars, this is also considered to be haram. Or a son or daughter who travel without the consent of their parents. If the parents say, no, we don't agree that you travel, if this person travels, he cannot break his fasting. His fasting should be, should be complete. So that is the 4 categories. Other 2 categories, we talked about them. Someone that his travel is considered to be work, like the pilot, the driver of the train. Those, their job is in travel. Therefore, they have to complete their fasting and their prayer is complete. Or kathir safar, someone who travels a lot. We said that according to Ayatollah Sistani, the 1/3 of the time, he has to be traveling. Anyone who has 1/3 of the time in the year or more, he cannot break his fasting and his prayer should be complete. Now, let's talk about the hadd al-tarafus. Brothers and sisters, there are 2 distances. Keep this in mind and listen carefully. This is important. The first distance is the distance that make you traveler. Based on this, you are considered to be a traveler. What is this? This is if you travel outside of the city. Consider where is the city border? The province or the city, this big city of Halifax. Where is the border? Out of that border, 24 kilometers, if you decide to go and come back. So you go 24 kilometers and come back, that becomes 48 kilometers. Are you with me? Or you intend not to come back. You want to go for a long trip. You will take 48 kilometers. Anyone who's traveling more than this distance is considered to be a traveler, meaning that he has to break the fasting and the prayers. Now, at what time the traveler breaks his fasting? Listen to this, this is important. The scholars say, once someone who's out of the city that no longer can see the homes, the walls of the city, or the adhan of the city. Of course, there is no adhan, but let's assume there is a masjid and they make the adhan. How far the adhan goes, or how far you can see the homes of the city. Once you get beyond the point that you cannot see the homes of that city, at that time you break your fasting. You don't wait 24 kilometers and break the fasting. Are you with me? So there are 2 things. One is your initial intention to leave more than 24 kilometers. That will entitle you to break your fasting. At what time you break your fasting? Those who are residents of Halifax, okay, who consider Halifax their hometown. Once they leave the city in a way that no longer they see the homes, at that time they can break their fasting. What about someone who only stays for 10 days, for a short period, like me? The person like me who's a traveler, but he came just to stay 10 days or 1 month, not longer. Once he's traveling, once he leaves his home, he can break his fasting. He does not need to wait 24 kilometers or 48 kilometers to break the fasting. This is called hadd al-tarafus. Is this clear, inshallah? صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد